Welcome, and I am so thrilled to welcome Ashley Walker to the podcast today. Ashley is the founder and director of the award-winning company Health and Safety Advice UK, which supports businesses to achieve health and safety compliance. And she made the leap from full-time employee to setting up her own business. And over the last 3 years, her business has just grown and grown. And now I feel like she's taken over the health and safety world in Lancashire. And she's at the point where she's recruited 3 people as well to join her. And
Yeah.
I met her at a networking event and was immediately intrigued by her story because one of her passions was making health and safety fun and accessible. And
Mm.
I have many skills, Ashley, and good qualities, but one of them is not things around compliance, admin,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. So I definitely wanted to bring you on and find out a bit more about how you do that. So welcome.
Yeah. Thank you. No, thanks for having me. No, I've been really excited to come on because I love your podcast. It's great.
You.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So first of all, can you just explain a little bit about the term health and safety? Because we hear it a lot, we hear it every day. But what does it actually
yeah,
mean? What does it cover?
yeah. I mean, health and safety, if you say that to someone, it's immediately negative, isn't it? Oh,
Mm,
health and safety. Oh, red tape. Um, I mean, there's different ways of looking at it. For me, health and safety is it's workplace health and safety. So now and again I'll get some queries in and I'm like, oh, who do you work for or what does your employer said? And like, oh no, I'm doing it at home. It's like, oh well, that's your own personal health and safety. I can't really advise on anything like that. But health and safety covers so much now. Like when the Health and Safety Work Act came out all them years ago, there was, a big focus on the practical health and safety management, originally from like the Factories Act and stuff. It's so much more now. It's well-being, it is your mental and physical health. Also how health and safety affects your home life. And employers have to have so much more care and attention now to all aspects of the health. I think some people forget about the health part in the past. It was all, risk assessment this, risk assessment that, PPE straight away. And now it's just so much more. And I think like a health and safety practitioner needs to learn so many more skills now. It's not just going around with a clipboard telling people off. You have to get people engaged or they just won't do anything. It's like a barrier straight away. And that's, what I've found is the way we try and approach things is a little bit different. Well, we try to. But health and safety, it's really hard to sort of just say a sentence because it's all sorts of things within a person's life. And we have to remember we're at work more than we are at home. So to make sure your own personal health and safety and your own values is sort of in line with your employers. And, finding the correct job, the right job for you, you'll know when you're safe in your work environment, and you definitely know when you're not.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's true. I guess you don't think about like you at work more than you are at home. And actually there's a
yeah,
responsibility therefore for yourself to make sure that you're doing what you can for your employer. Um,
yeah,
mm,
yeah. And all your colleagues, taking care of each other. If you have, and I do see it now and again, that one worker or one person in a workplace that just does not give a shit and is just there for themselves and doesn't participate, doesn't want to. And sometimes you just have to sit that person down and just go, are you all right? What's going on? What's the problem? And like really say, what is your problem? And get down to the nitty-gritty, and then you find out. And then most of the time you can fix it. And then they become part of the team. And people go through waves as well, like in and out, whether they're interested or not. But it's, you know, we've only got one life in this world. Well, we may have past lives. I probably think we do, to be honest. But and it's trying to live it to the fullest and not putting yourself in danger.
mm.
Where there is that risk taker aspect in any of us, isn't there? Like, oh, I'll just get away with it, or you know. And I'm bad for it as well. People will let you know that I am a speedy driver. I am. And sometimes I have to, tell myself, oh, you need to slow down and anybody, we were just talking about it today. Oh no, it was yesterday. We were out on a visit, and Tiffany's husband, who Tiffany works with me, her husband rang, and he was at work, but he was like maybe a couple of miles ahead on the M6, and he knew I was driving, and he rang Tiff and went, "There's a police car. Tell Ashley to slow down." Well, I was only going to 69 miles an hour, so I was quite proud of myself.
Well done.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
That's so funny, 'cause I was going to ask later on in the conversation, like, what scenario where you just throw caution to the wind and you
Oh
just
yeah.
do yourself to be like a bit
Yeah.
more risky and
Now, touch wood, I've never had an accident in the car. Well, saying that, when I was 17, I just passed my test. I did have an accident then, but I've definitely learnt my lessons as not to drive your little Fiat Punto in a field. Yeah,
no, no,
no,
maybe
no.
stick to the
But
road.
yeah, drive it into a ditch. Bad times. My car was permanently frowning after that. And we never got it fixed as well. My brother bought the car off me when he passed his driving test, and the bumper was still frowning. But
Oh.
yeah, you do. I think caution to the wind, it's funny because you're a health and safety person through and through. If I
Mhm.
walk down the high street, I will see anything and everything that's not right. Even like my partner sends me memes. Yeah, it's funny because you just automatically see it. And we can be quite boring people, technical and stuff, but you got to bring a bit of humor to it because people again won't engage if you just sat there telling them negative stuff like you're not doing this right, you're not doing that right. You've got to, I was always taught in one of my first jobs out of uni, my boss, I remember saying to me, I was on a grad scheme in London, he went, "Don't bring me a problem, bring me a solution." And that has always stuck with me my
Mm.
whole career is don't bring clients all their problems, bring them solutions to each one. And I found that's worked really well, sort
Mm.
of, especially setting up the consultancy because, we want to be approachable, nice people and work with teams, not against them. And it is difficult with safety because you're coming in making changes, and especially in a workplace where people have done the same thing for a long time, like heavy manufacturing where it might be a family business with people that have worked there for over 30 years. And I'm coming in saying, oh, let's change it up. It's really difficult.
Yeah. So it's interesting you explaining that because I can see a lot of similarities, I suppose, between my work in the NHS and that like amount of influencing that you have to do, that it's not just enough to say
Yeah,
you need to change, you have to really get people on board uh,
yeah,
to make improvements.
yeah. And
Uh,
know how to communicate with different people as well. you know, and at different levels, because if I'm going into a meeting with a board of directors and doing a strategy meeting compared to if I'm on the shop floor doing a supervisor's visit or, an inspection or even training with guys on a factory floor, it's very different how you can communicate with people. And those skills you have to learn quite early on in your safety career, I suppose. Because if you can't communicate, then they won't listen.
mm. So I'm curious because
Mm.
it's been like a real holistic answer that you've given there. What was it that attracted you to the field? Like, what made you want to get into it?
Yeah, so I mean, it's funny because we always laugh that no one sets out to get into health and safety. When you're in school, you have your careers fairs or you speak to the careers coach. I don't know what they're called nowadays. It's never, oh, I want to be a health and safety consultant. So I set out my career, I was in construction. So I was doing construction project management at uni. And I did a summer sort of internship at my dad's firm. They were building the uni sports centre at Preston. So I just did a few weeks there. And then they never got rid of me because I just kept going in all the time anyway, like free lectures. But I was sort of put in the role of doing a few inductions and reviewing risk assessments, and I got really interested in it that way. And then when I finished uni, I was given the opportunity to move to a consultancy in London on the grad scheme, and it was called Business Assurance. One of the best jobs I have ever had. It was learnt so much, had, worked with a great team, traveled. I've traveled to all sorts of places. think my favorite was going to Hong Kong, working on a HSBC contract. And you just learn so much. But and I've been rambling now, so I've forgotten your original question. See, I do this, I just go on and on and on. But with safety, you don't normally set out to be a consultant. But I think it was when I was offered the opportunity to go to a consultancy and learn sort of those aspects. I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna move my whole life as a 21-year-old on my own. And I've never looked back, really. But now you say that it's funny because what I want to do is grow the business naturally, where we took on a T-level student last year, Georgia. She's done amazing, and she's becoming an apprentice this year, joining us full time. And then we've actually just taken on our fourth employee now.
Oh
They
God,
started 2 weeks ago. Yeah,
that's amazing.
Victoria. Yeah, so she's doing a complete career change and learning health and safety. So it's finding the right people, the right personalities. You can easily train someone in the industry, health and safety generally is common sense. When you're doing something stupid. I'd like to think. I would like to think. Yeah. Yeah. So, what we try and do is promote the industry because it is a great industry to get into. You know, 2 days are not the same at all. So I was at a client today doing a full audit, fire risk assessment. Yesterday I was doing manual handling training at a different client. Tomorrow, I'm at one of our brand new clients doing ISO management system. It's very varied, and we work in a lot of different industries, so it's really interesting what we find out and meeting new people and seeing what they do. So it can be quite exciting.
Feel like you're selling it to me. If I'm looking
Ah,
like a changing career,
if you
I'm like,
fancy it, yeah,
maybe this does sound good.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Because you are trying to save people's lives at the end of the day. It's not
Yeah.
you know, I try and make it fun and interesting, but it's such a serious topic.
Mm.
I think it's the engaging ways that communication, but trying to get people to think about, the real risks. While, making it simple, let's go back to basics. Let's not overcomplicate it. Because some people think, I've got to write a 50-page risk assessment, which is bullshit. You don't. You've got to just get your hazards right and your controls right.
Mhm.
That's it. People generally overthink it, and then it just becomes you know, a a just black space where they just don't want to do it and procrastinate, and then something happens and it all goes tits up.
Yeah. Can you give us a bit of an example of how you made it fun and interesting, or maybe like a story that you can share?
Yeah, I mean, even yesterday when we were doing the manual handling training, my worst nightmare with training is to be death by PowerPoint. And I think most people just assume that when they come into a meeting room and there's PowerPoint back on the screen, that it just will be. So any training I do, I completely change it up where they're telling me. So I ask them every single question I can think of. So why do you do manual handling? What do you do? Tell me about your job. What line do you work on? Or what mechanical aids do you have? Or yeah, but can we improve on it? And people, it, I think people get surprised when they're asked questions, especially like guys on the shop floor. We have a client who manufactures doors and windows, like bifold doors. And when we go and speak to the guys, they're like, oh, she's asking me questions. What the hell's going on? And they just it's like their eyes light up and they get so engaged with it. And literally yesterday, we were having a fun time talking about manual handling. Like, that just never happens. But yeah, so any courses, but any type of audits, inspections, it's, talking to someone like a real person and understanding what they do, how they do it, and how we can make their lives better. Not me coming in saying, "Oh, you're doing that wrong." It's, you know,
I'm drawing
yeah,
so many parallels between coaching and health and safety because
yeah,
we do in coaching, we ask questions.
yeah,
Sometimes people might confuse coaching with teaching or, telling, but actually we create the space and find out what the person already knows and
yeah,
the sort of gentle inquiry. How
yeah,
to, really reflect on and come up with their own solutions. So,
Yeah. See, I
ah,
love coaching because it does, you're not actually being told what to do.
yeah,
You're realizing the action yourself through the questions.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
That's,
yeah.
yeah. Well, I'm definitely learning a lot about health and safety.
Oh,
Um,
perfect.
and so thinking about some of the businesses that you work with, is there like a really common thing that people tend to get wrong or misunderstand?
Yeah. So we did like a research and development project last year with Lancaster Uni Management School, so a team of students there. And I really wanted to know how many businesses understood their responsibilities for health and safety. So, in a nutshell, it's like the top three things is if you have five or more employees, you're required to have written risk assessments, health and safety policy, and access to an appointed competent person, it's called for health and safety. And like most small businesses with five employees can't afford to train someone up to do like their NEBOSH certificate or have a full-time health and safety person. So that's why consultants exist really, because we just do it like on a annual retainer. So when we did the research project with them, I couldn't believe the data that came out. So 66% of business owners that contributed to that project, and there was a lot. It was really, I was really lucky that we got a lot of engagement. I think probably through all the networking I do and different things, and through the uni. So yeah, 66% weren't aware of their responsibilities. They didn't know that they needed written risk assessments, policy, and then access to a health and safety person, which is quite worrying. And it's made me think of sort of the bigger picture of when you say open up a limited company on Companies House and you're appointed as a director, you get given like a bit of a list of, right, these are your responsibilities. And I can't remember for the life of me seeing health and safety or this is where you get health and safety information. And I think in my career, I've always assumed that business owners know. But then through COVID, no, they did not. And through this research project that we did, they don't. And it's, worrying the fact that they don't know that. And to me, it's more the risk assessment side is having those written risk assessments that are correct and suitable. They say suitable and sufficient in the regs. And also that people are engaged with them. It's not just written by me sat in my office that don't do the job. It's they're engaged and their inputs their feedback is put into them, but also they're briefed and then signed on. Because what I found is the rise in personal injury claims over the last since COVID, there's been a rise. We're becoming more litigious now. And, the insurers ask for evidence. And I hate the fact of saying to, a business owner or a manager director, it's all about evidence. It's all about ticking a box because it is and it isn't. You've got to be realistic. That insurer wants to see a written risk assessment with that employee's signature on to demonstrate that they've been briefed on the risk assessment and they know the control measures. Because if you don't have that in place, then you'll be fully liable. I've seen personal injury claims that are, thousands and thousands. And it's scary because then people won't want to open operate businesses if they're fully responsible for it, aren't they?
Yeah.
And it's quite interesting.
I'm so shocked that's such a huge number of businesses. Like, I guess, I
Yeah,
don't know. I was going to say, like, when you're a parent, you don't have a pack that says this is all the things that you need
yeah.
to do.
Well,
And
it's true. Yeah,
maybe it's the same with the business. Like, when you open a business, these are all the things you have to kind of research it yourself, don't you? And
yeah,
if
yeah.
you don't know, you
But
don't.
also, like, obviously it's there in the regs. It's very clear cut in the regs. But is a business owner going to go and search? No. But what I found as well is I've done like business development courses to business strategy courses, any course I could do. I've tried to learn it because I'm learning from scratch. Like I've never run a business. My family's never sort of operated a business. So learn about VAT, tax, payroll, all of that is, if anything can be available to me, I'll take it. any of the business courses I've been on, not one has mentioned health and safety compliance. Not
No.
one. And even like I went on one, it was a startup course. Can't remember who it was run by. A startup business, what do you need to do to start up your business? And I was waiting for it. I was like, oh, come on, there's got to be something about health and safety. It's got to be something about a risk assessment. There was nothing. I was like, right, but how can we change that? I don't know. It's really difficult to try and get the message out there. But I think that's why I wanted to create Bubble Wrap. So to try and
Mm,
get that message out there that's a bit more engaging. So but again it's difficult. It is
yeah.
really difficult.
So just tell
And
us. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
sorry, and I was gonna say, especially like it's really funny, health and safety people, um, they're not very inclusive. I'm gonna say it because you'll put something out there and immediately you've got someone, well, I don't agree with that. Or I put a post out recently and I was really, really happy. I went to a client site and they had this box on the wall. It was lockout, tag out. Don't know if you've ever heard of it, but any heavy machinery, if you're doing a deep clean, if it's broken or something, or you're messing with electrics in it, anything at all, you will put a lock on the machine to cut it off so nobody can switch it on whilst you're physically in the machine doing anything. It's
Mhm.
called lockout tag out and it's padlocks with multiple keys. Usually two people will take a key, one person from one area, one person another, so no no one else can take the lock off. It's really interesting. So I put that on saying, "Oh, I'm really happy. My client's you know, gone from compliant. Now they've got this in place. They're using it for deep cleaning." And instantly someone comments, well, where are the spare keys? I was thinking, you kidding me? They're in the picture. There are spare keys. And then another health and safety person commented on saying, can you clearly not see the keys? Because I thought I was going mad at first. I was like, I missed something. But like, I don't know what it is about our industry is people try and drag people down. And it frustrates me because I see, you'll class them as competitors, smaller health and safety consultancies all over the country. There's some really amazing ones. And I'm like, yeah, that's great because I love following people on LinkedIn and seeing their stories, seeing what they're doing. And I just feel like we need to big each other up a bit more because it's a hard industry. And I think it's just that negative Nancy attitude
Mm,
that, that's through and through the industry. But, it's trying to find your tribe in the industry that, back you up and it's difficult because there are like networking groups out there, but just find them so negative.
I don't really like him.
No, no, I went to one years ago. So there's like a health and safety membership that um you get chartered through. And I used to be a member years and years ago, and then I stopped my membership because I went to one of the groups up Cumbria way. And they were just like, as soon as we got there, it was me and a trainee, and she was just fresh in the industry. I was like, yes, another woman in the industry. This is great. Got there, and they were all pricks to us. They were like, who are you? Where are you from? What are you doing here? I was like, oh, hi, this is a nice welcome. And then I was like, that's it, because I'll just throw my toys out the pram. I'm not coming back here. It's not inclusive. I'm not doing that. Never went back. Cancelled my membership.
It's so strange. You would go
Bad
to your
feeling.
client with like this positive solution focus, try to get them on board, try to get them engaged, and then your peers and the people in the industry are like, nah, I don't like you. Right, this is
Yeah,
bad.
yeah. It's just really interesting. I
Mm,
don't know. I don't know how, again, we can shift that. Maybe bringing in the new generation workforce, trying to promote it with, school leavers. One really beneficial thing is a few years ago, and health and safety apprenticeship came out, which, is a game changer because my two apprentices are going on to that this year. And it's a really structured health and safety program. I thought, yeah, that's fantastic to try and bring the next generation in and make it, promote it as an available job role. So
mm,
that's one positive thing definitely can think of.
yeah. Um,
Yeah.
you mentioned in your when you were explaining the C word, COVID,
Oh
and
yeah.
I wonder what that experience was like for you because obviously that. I don't know, you can imagine it like a health and safety dream because yay, I get all these people coming to me and caring, or a health and safety
Yeah.
nightmare, like, oh shit,
Uh,
everything's going wrong. I don't know what to.
yeah. I'm gonna say it was a very testing time for me personally. Um, I actually set up a business in 2019. It was called Walker Ritchie Consulting. I thought I'm going to use my married name and my maiden name. And yeah, I set that up in 2019. Sort of how I set this business up. So I was doing that on the side, evenings, weekends, just a bit of extra work. And March 2020, I went full time, gave up my full-time job and went full time into the business. And 3 days later, COVID shutdown was announced on the day that, like, it was my grand's funeral. So I was going through turmoil. So lost all my clients overnight and had to get a full-time job ASAP to pay the mortgage. It was really interesting. It's funny what life throws at you, isn't
Yeah.
it? But that's what COVID was. It came out of nowhere, threw everyone into turmoil, and I will say, I think we're troopers, aren't we? You just find that strength from within to try and get through it. But yeah, so I got a full-time job in a care and education company for children and adults with autism and different sort of learning difficulties. And they were national. I think we had at the time about 160 schools and care homes across the country. So when everyone was in lockdown on furlough, I was driving up and down the M6 doing care home inspections.
Mm.
And I was the only health and safety person for that company. And it nearly broke me, I will say, because, care and schools, especially for children with autism, was a really testing time to keep them safe. You
Mm.
know, it wasn't just the basic risk assessments, it was really hard work. And I feel like everyone just came together. The whole company, all staff just came together to rally round and really protect the children because they were the main priority. Um, and we got through it. We reopened the offices. We had fostering included as well. But it was really hard work. But I think it was about September time that I closed that business. And I tell you what, I believe in fate because the day after I closed that limited company, I got a call from my original client saying, we're starting back up again. Can you sort all of our stuff out ready? The COVID policy, risk assessments, all of that. I was like, literally, you could have called me yesterday.
Got admin to do now. Come on.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, so started back up again, working weekends. It was for like fiber installation, like putting broadband cables in. Um, Down in Colchester. So once a month on the weekend, which was great, I went down to Colchester to do inspections, came back up and worked in the evenings and sort of built up my client base again. So I had sort of two main clients, and then I thought, right, okay, I can do it. I can go full time because I should have just enough to cover my wages. I'm going to do it because I thought. And then, I've never wanted to open a business. It's never been a thing or a dream of mine to do that. I was going self-employed. That was it. It was just me.
Mm.
That's all I was doing. I was working as a contractor. Um, and I was super, super lucky. The day I handed my notice in at my full-time job, my boss turned around and went, right, okay, well, I don't really want you to leave, so will you stay on 3 days a week as a contractor? I was like, you've got to be kidding me. What? Yes, of course I will. So I stayed on for 6 months whilst we found a new head of health and safety there. Um, and literally my wages went from payroll straight in as an invoice. It was like the most seamless position I could have been in. And that was, I was very, very fortunate that that was offered to me, I will say, because trying to go self-employed straight away is really difficult, when you've got bills. So yeah, so that's where I sort of ended up with starting this company. I think I opened it in September 2021, but I didn't go into it full time until the May 2022.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it was just supposed to be me on
Yeah.
my own,
And how
and
it's
it soon
grown.
changed.
And Tell me about going from that role of consultant to now you are a leader, you're a director, you are, I don't know, are you responsible for the health and safety? I imagine so.
Yeah,
If you're
I've got
appointed.
5 employees now.
Yeah.
I need to check with Chris that we've got our written risk assessments. No, we do. I'm joking. Could you imagine if we didn't? But that does remind me though, I need to get my pack testing done because that
Okay.
comes due soon. Um, yeah, so it's really funny because my best mate Tiff, so I mentioned her before, we've known each other since we were 11. So we went to high school together. And she's done her life kind of the opposite way of mine. She had her kids quite young, and now they've grown older. She wanted to change career, where I've just done career really. Um, and we went for lunch one day in town, and I said, I've done it. I've gone self-employed. This was literally 2 weeks after I did it. And she's like, oh, that's amazing. Because she kept going about talking about changing career. And I just went, oh, you know what? You should just retrain. You should come and join me. You know, um, do more hours than what you've been doing. Because she's been working at a solicitor's for the last 10 years. I said, I'll train you up and you can be a health and safety consultant. Say it in jest, like we always had big plans of different things. Anyway, 2 days later, she rang me. She went, "Yeah, I've handed my notice in."
Wow.
What? Have you? Yeah, I'm joining you in 3 weeks. Okay, then. Right. And then it just went from there. So she started, we had to get an office, obviously, because we couldn't sit around my tiny kitchen table with my two dogs at our feet, like wanting attention constantly. So we got a small office in Lancaster. She started a training straight away. She's just like flown because she's now out managing her own clients. Like, what are we, like 2.5 years in? She is just she's learned it so quickly, and she's a very practical person, methodical, where I'm a people person, I'll chat and chat, and she's more methodical, and we work really well together because I'm like the ideas, and she's like, well, let's rein it in and price it up, and it's really good how we work. Um, and then we got some really big contracts. I thought, should we actually hire a qualified person? And she said, yeah, let's go for it. So then Chris joined us December last year. And then literally within a month, Georgia joined as a T-level student. And we've just flown from there because we knew we were growing quite quickly. Sort of a lot of our work is through referrals. In the past, we've done very little advertising or marketing. I'd say 90% of our work's through referrals, which is really, it makes my heart warm. The
Mm.
fact that someone's saying, oh, I know Ashley, she can help you, she's really good. And it's funny because I think I've had about 6 referrals in the last month, which is our biggest month to have that many referrals in one go. And we've got a really high sort of conversion rate. So I'm wondering whether we're going to get all of them because then I'm like, well, Chris is on paternity as of this month, so I'm doing all of his work.
Oh no.
Then we'll take on new clients. But that's the whole point of learning how to run a business. It's resourcing and making sure it's right. So yeah, we're a team of 5 now, and
Mm.
we've got big plans. I'm not going to lie,
Yeah.
big plans. So we're looking to open up in Scotland this year. So Tiff and I are going to work on that together to have more of a presence up there, sort of Glasgow and Edinburgh, to sort of move up to that market. Um, and then we're doing quite a lot of research at the moment because we've got a couple of opportunities, sort of Dubai way, but that is years out.
Mm.
Like we're
Oh,
planning for probably 2020, late 2026 for that. But yeah, we've got big aspirations, I suppose.
I love
But
this.
yeah, because if we keep growing at the rate we are, we've got to be really careful that you don't grow too quickly and then lose your values and the way that we do things. And we have to make sure we get the right people in. Because
Mm-hmm.
I think if we get the right person in with the right attitude, personality, who we know that can communicate well, and that really is interested in it, then we can teach them all the skills and teach them the detail. But it's finding that right person,
Mm.
which we've been, really lucky because Chris started, and like we're like a little family at work now because we all get on really well. And it's quite funny how like we've all got similar interests, and Chris and I are a bit more laid back, where Tiffany's keeps us up, do like with our action plans.
You
She's
need
the
that
real boss of the office, I
future
tell you.
driver, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It was funny one day I did like a sponsorship deal with a charity. I thought, oh, this, I really want to do this sponsorship. This was last year. And I said to Chris, oh, right, okay. And then he went, oh, how much is it? I went, "Oh, I forgot to ask. Who forgets to ask?" And then I asked. And this was like really early on when I didn't want to spend much money. It was something like £500, which like isn't much really. He went, have you told Tiff? No, let's not tell her. Let's not tell her. It's fine. It's fine. She won't
Doesn't
need to know.
yeah.
No, no, because she tells me off for spending too much money. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, just I guess to end this part of the podcast as a quick question, what is one thing that most people don't know that if they would know, they would potentially change what they're doing, their practice? Is there something that you see really regularly?
Ooh, it's the risk assessment thing.
Mm,
It's engaging people in the risk assessments, briefing them and getting them to sign on to it. Because time and time again, I'll get a call, oh, we need some help. We've had a personal injury claim come in and we don't know how to evidence it against the insurer. And there's no evidence, no training records, um, no induction records, no signed risk assessments. They're the three things that you need to get your shit in order for.
okay.
Um, and also just, when you hit that point of 5 employees or more, it's, give it, I mean, I'm not plugging me, but giving any health and safety consultancy close by a call to see how they can help you, making sure you're compliant straight away. Because as a company set up and it grows and grows, you need to make sure everything's there, ready to go. Because to try and implement risk assessments and health and safety policy years down the line, so difficult, you
Mm,
know, really difficult.
okay. So
Yeah,
tips then to make sure you've got in place.
yeah, yeah.
Fab. So, Ashley, thank you so, so much for your time on this podcast today. It's been so insightful.
Oh,
I
good.
love how it's just felt so conversational and you've been so open sharing your experiences. I know that our listeners will have taken so much from this
I
conversation.
hope so.
They
Yeah.
definitely will. Please just do a plug for all your socials, however people want to contact you. So if they want to find out more, yeah, where's the best
Oh
place?
yeah. So if anyone wants to connect with me on LinkedIn, it's Ashley Walker. But our business page is HSE Advice UK Limited. We are on Instagram, so you can see our video sort of pictures and videos. We do like to post a lot of pictures and videos. We are on TikTok.
Oh yes.
So gosh, what is my handle? I think it's something like HSE Advice UK underscore bubble wrap, because bubble wrap is our sort of brand, I suppose, for bringing compliance with a bit of fun to make safety pop, we say. Um, yeah, but if anyone wanted more information, the website is just www. I don't think anyone said that in years. hcadviceuk.co.uk. www. dot. Um,
HTTPS colon.
yeah, oh God. Try to type that out all day today. Yeah, but yeah, connect with me on LinkedIn and then any questions, compliance, just not to like bring me in as a consultant, just any questions at all, just send me a message. Happily, happily send anything back.
Amazing.
Yeah,
And your bubble
yeah.
wrap podcast is
Bubble Wrap podcast, yeah, sorry. The main thing. Yeah, so we launched Bubble Wrap last year. We're on YouTube and Spotify. So it's just bubble wrap to protect your business. Yeah, I've really enjoyed it. At first, it's scary, isn't it? Like with a camera and a microphone. But yeah, Chris and I run it technically together. Um, and again, it's just conversations. It's just us chatting about different stuff. And we've had quite a few guests on, which is really nice. So it's just trying a bit of, a bit of banter, a bit of fun. whilst talking about really serious stuff, just to try and make it a bit more enjoyable, I suppose.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you. I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah.